Hey, hello and welcome. In this video today, I want to talk about that although meditating is really a beautiful art form, it can allow us to relax after a busy day, to calm our minds, to let that stress melt away. It takes practice, of course, but meditation really is a very powerful art form, if you will. However, there is also something that needs to be taken into account and is a very big risk factor for your mental health. And you need to know this if you're going to get the most out of your meditation, because not knowing this can actually make your meditation difficult and also have a knock-on effect that could disrupt your sleep and disrupt your next day or even days. Now, I don't mean to sound too doom and gloom when it comes down to meditation. I do meditation every single day. I absolutely love it. It gives us that time away from everything from that busy life and can help us process lots of thoughts that may be going on in the background. And that is where I want to talk about this very big risk factor, because although so many times online today we can see just sit in a room and be really still and quiet for 10 to 15 minutes and it's all happy-go-lucky and everything's fine, actually, as myself, as a trauma therapist, I always look at risk management. Okay, so before we go into the risk factor, what I want to do is talk about what meditation actually is and why it can feel in our physical body so different to when we are not meditating. So we've got here 4 brain states, and the beta brain state is when we are quite awake and we are in everyday life. That's upbeat, if you will. That's when we are thinking and we are consciously aware. Then we've got what's known as the alpha brain state, and that's where we are starting to calm down. Now, when you're meditating, what happens is your body starts to relax, the muscles start to loosen up, and your brain senses that, oh, it's okay, I can slow down. Now, the alpha state is where you could be starting to go into a hypnotherapy state where you start to feel like you're kind of awake, but you're not awake at the same time. And that sometimes can feel quite disorientating, and that's why meditation requires practice. But then, if you get really advanced with meditation, you can drop into the 3rd stage of the brainwave patterns, which is the theta state. Now, this is where you're almost close to sleep, if not asleep. And this requires a lot of practice to stay consciously aware when you are in the theta state, because that's where most people fall asleep. And then we move on to the 4th state, which is delta brainwave patterns, which your mind is going really, really slow. Now, this is usually when a person is in deep sleep. So you'll probably start to notice the fact that, well, do we not go to sleep every day? Do we not go into these cycles every day? And the answer is yes, you do. So every time you go to sleep and every time you wake up, you will be cycling through these brain states. So they're not mystical, they're not anything that's supernatural, they're very natural brain states. So when we meditate and when we calm our body down, what we're doing is we're taking our mentality and our physical re-regulation down to a state where our body and mind start to assume that we're going to sleep and everything starts to relax. And like I say, that takes practice, not just a couple of times, but I'd say probably months worth of practice to get really good at holding state, especially to get to theta state, which can sometimes take many, many months, which is now where I want to introduce to you this big risk of meditating and going down into alpha and theta states. Probably most people will be around alpha state. Because what happens is, if you imagine you've got your mind here and you've got your conscious mind, which is in that upbeat state, that beta state, and that usually focuses on today only. And then you've got your subconscious mind and all of the thoughts that are going through. But then you can see here, you've got Pandora's box. Now, Pandora's box is my own concept. It's where we store trauma memories from the past. So anything that we've not come to terms with in our past can be stored in Pandora's box. This could be that feeling that we're not good enough, or a memory that we have not come to terms with when we may have been treated a certain way, talked down to, degraded or bullied or whatever it may be. And if those trauma memories have not been processed, they will sit there in Pandora's box. Now, if we are in our everyday lives and we are in beta state, we are very often unaware of those deeper, unresolved trauma memories. But just because we're unaware of them doesn't necessarily mean they won't project out. Now, you will have maybe experienced these if you have these projections coming out in the form of anxiety, and it's this dualistic personality that we may feel. So we could be living our everyday lives and everything might be going really good, but then we get that intrusive thought to say, well, you're not good enough, your partner's going to leave you, you're going to get sacked. But then when you think about it today, you can't really prove that. Well, that would be an example of one of the Pandora's box memories projecting out onto today's reality, causing that confusion. We feel that we might lose our job, but we can't explain why, because everything in our everyday life today says that we're going to keep that job and everything's going to work out fine. So then we flip backwards and forwards between these two realities. And now we've explained all of that, that leads us into the real core of the big risk of meditating. When we meditate, what we do is we relax our body and our mind down. Everything slows down. If we're in our everyday life and we feel quite alert and maybe a little bit of stress, what that does is keeps us in our conscious mind and away from those Pandora's box memories. But when we start to relax down and we go from beta into alpha or even theta, even though, again, most people when they start off meditating won't really get into theta. But when we start to drop down into the alpha state, and this is what, again, a lot of hypnotherapy will work with, but when we start to go down, it opens up that conduit between the conscious mind and Pandora's box, because the mind relaxes down and it takes away that wall or partition. So then when we start to meditate, it might feel like the mind goes really quiet, really peaceful, or the body starts to relax down and we feel so calm. But then as we drop down into that calm state, sometimes it can happen where we are absolutely hit blindside with an unresolved trauma memory flooded into our mind, because the conduit is open. And if you're not prepared for that memory to come out or not know how to deal with it, then it can feel incredibly overwhelming. And that memory could be on your mind for days, weeks, or even months to come. Meaning that a simple meditation that was initially aimed to just calm your body and relax your mind could leave you with a lot more than you were expecting. If you don't know how to deal with this, it can be incredibly overwhelming. So as a trainer myself, I definitely believe that meditation can be absolutely life-changing, and to do it every day can bring profound results. But also, we have to be very aware that if one of these overwhelming memories comes out, or it feels like you're just flooded with all these anxiety thoughts when you're in the process of meditation, is that your mind's calming down, those partitions are opening up, that conduit's opening up, and your mind is letting everything out to try to heal itself. But I've heard it said to me directly that when all those thoughts come flooding out, that I just need to calm down even more, relax even more, let them flow. But when those thoughts come out, they can be incredibly overwhelming, especially depending on the severity of challenges that you may have had in your past. Okay, so in this video, I just wanted to share something with you that can help you understand the process of meditation. Again, meditation can be absolutely wonderful if it's done in the right way, but also if you've gone through the meditation process and suddenly it feels like you've got all of these thoughts flooding into your mind and it feels really overwhelming, or you've had a memory come out of your past that you'd forgotten about for maybe decades, and it just hits you blindside and feels really overwhelming, then that could be the reason as to why that's happened. It's just you've opened up that conduit and things have started to flow through. So meditation can be absolutely life-changing, but you have to take it with respect. This is your mind. It's a very, very powerful thing. Okay, so I hope this video has helped maybe give you a little bit more of a perspective around the power of meditation and or why things may suddenly come flooding out when you're trying to calm your mind down that may feel overwhelming. So if you've had any experiences like this yourself, and it could maybe cause you confusion, so feel free to put your views in the comments below, because you never know, your comment may change somebody else's life for the better forever.